Networking is really important to everyone. No matter whether you're a business owner, entrepreneur, or you're professional, if you want to succeed in your career, what typically happens is you need two things. One is knowledge, and knowledge can be found anywhere. Videos like this give you knowledge. You can get knowledge from books as well, and you can get books from the library, from the bookstore, you can even borrow it from your friends. Community though isn't as simple, and we typically aren't just born into communities, nor can we go to a store and buy community. That doesn't happen. Community is slowly built, is organically built, and requires time and attention to really build. And unfortunately, people tend to do that wrongly. In a previous video, I covered the 3 mistakes that I always see people making. The 3 mistakes of networking. If you haven't checked out that video, go check it out. Hopefully you don't make these 3 mistakes. I know I made them before when I was growing my business, and that's not the way to network. If you don't know about me, my name is Alvin Poh. I am an entrepreneur. I started my business, my first business, when I was 17 years old, scaled it up from 0 to $30 million, and then sold it at the age of 33. Ever since then, I've traveled the world full-time for 2 years, came back, and now I help entrepreneurs just like yourself super scale their business and get them to a level where they get the freedom that they want. Time freedom, financial freedom, as well as location freedom. And that's something that is really, really important and dear to me. So I hope that all these tips, advice, lessons that I share with you can help you as well in that journey to get freedom for yourself. So the topic for today is how to effectively network, how to create that network with people that you can trust, rely on, get support from, get motivation from, gives you perspective and advice. And that's something that's not easy to do. So how do you do it? First of all, don't make the mistakes that I talk about. And second of all, it requires a mindset shift. Now, networking is usually done in a very lazy manner. And it probably happens because we see how people do it and we assume that's the best way, and we just follow what the masses do. That's such a terrible way of networking. So don't do that. The much better way of networking though is really having this mindset. And it's a simple mindset shift. It's the mindset of giving before you take. The mistake that everyone makes that I've seen is making sure is actually expecting to take before they give, right? And this is how I would network. So the first thing that I would do is research. If I were to find somebody that I find interesting, I would research. I will make sure that I spend some time Googling about that person, putting his name into Google, his or her name into Google, and see what pops up. Reading about their past interviews, their past articles, reading stuff that they post on social media, finding out about their interests and hobbies, and understanding them a little bit better, right? And you can find a lot. If you go to Google and put my name in, you see everything there. And so it boggles my mind that sometimes when I meet people who want to meet me, they don't even do that research. And what happens is that during that hour or two that I spend with them, a lot of time is spent wasted just talking about stuff that you can find about myself online. So instead of spending that time effectively going deeper, getting better answers, and building a better rapport or relationship, it becomes this very repetitive thing for me, and it doesn't put you in a good light, nor does it give you the kind of value that you want. So don't do that. Instead, spend some time doing research. So that's the first thing that I'll do, research. The second thing that I'll do is not to immediately start with an ask. So what typically happens is people start, maybe they discover this person or they come across a person that they find interesting and they want to meet. I don't know about you, but I am busy. I'm sure a lot of people are busy. I'm sure a lot of you are busy. And it's not necessarily busy with work as well, right? Yeah, work will take up some time, but there's also time that you spend with your friends, your family, rest and relaxation. You want to spend time on your hobbies. That requires time. And to take that time away and to spend it on you means that you probably need to have a much better proposition than just, hey, can I have coffee or can I have lunch, right? uh, when we talk about giving before you take, coffee and lunches don't cost a lot. And if you want to have if you tell me to meet up and cause you get me a coffee or a lunch, I'm weighing in my mind, I could spend an hour or two doing something else much more fulfilling, much more rewarding, much more productive. And I honestly don't really care about the cost of that coffee or that lunch, right? So that's a terrible way of giving. That's a real like low bribe, and that typically doesn't work. What works though is if you spend some time building up the rapport before that ask, before that question of, hey, do you want to meet up? Because if you spend some time getting to know that person, right, figuring out what their hobbies are, figuring out what their interests are, and showing them that you're interested in them, that puts you in so much more of a better light. How this looks in reality is when you actually connect with that person online, sending them emails or messages over social media with things that matter to them. I've had people connect with me and tell me more about like longboarding or snowboarding or cute cats even, or memes with the kind of humor that I like, building up a connection with me online first, right? And that's something that's great, because once that connection is built, you're no longer a real 100% stranger. You're a person that has been understanding you and following you for a while. So there's a little bit of rapport built already. And when somebody like that asks me for a coffee or a meetup, it becomes a much easier ask, right? So that's the second thing that I will do, right? Spend some time building up some form of connection, so it's not a cold outreach. Most of the time I see people do that is just hey, I've seen you in this article and do you want to meet up? My answer most of the time is no, because I don't know that person. And why should I meet up with that person, right? So it's not a very good ask. Number 3 is to really structure the thoughts that you have and the agenda that you have before you actually turn up for the meet, right? How I would do it is to plan a meetup at that person's convenience. So it could be wherever is convenient for that person, either where that person lives or where that person works or where the person is at. And we have a coffee or a lunch somewhere nearby. And when we get there, I have everything that I want to ask on my mind. It's very, very clear that nothing that I ask is already easily found online. I want to find out more about that person as a person. What drives them? What's the purpose? What they're working towards? The lessons that they've learned, the failures that they faced. These things that typically don't come across on online media or things that they post online. And that gets me to understand them much better as a person. And that's something that I am interested in. And people feel that as well, because they know that you're no longer just like asking about the superficial stuff, but the stuff that really makes them human. And that helps set the ground for future meetings and for future connections or interactions. What is very, very useful also is if you can come from a perspective of really providing value to that person. Right, finding out what they're doing, what they're working on, and in that meeting, providing them with potential ways that could help them. Either your network, you could have a network of certain people that could help these people, right? Maybe it's in terms of business, or maybe it's in terms of their hobbies that they have. For instance, if you know that perhaps they're trying to expand into Indonesia and you've got like Indonesian friends, hey, maybe you could just link people up. Or perhaps that they are into longboarding and you know a group that goes longboarding, and or good friends who longboard as well, and you could link them up, right? Or you could provide perspective or a service as well. Perhaps you do marketing, or perhaps you do video editing, and that someone is doing that on his social media or in his work. If you offer that, that sets you apart from everyone else, right? And it doesn't have to be a huge thing. It could be just like, spending some time reviewing their work and providing them some feedback, right? I think that's something that sets you apart immediately with people. One of the best ways that I think happened recently was this financial advisor that basically asked for a meetup with me. Typically, I don't meet up with financial advisors because number one, it's so apparent that they just want to meet up for work, and I don't need a financial advisor. I have my portfolio well taken care of. So I usually say no to financial advisors who want to meet up. But this financial advisor came from a different perspective. He had a network himself, a network of people that he was helping. And he had all these young undergraduates and young graduates who was in his network. And we're talking about dozens of thousands of them, right? And what he said was not meeting up with me to have a sales meeting, but to rather interview me so that he could translate that into a interview that he could disseminate within his network. And that to me, number one, sounds sustainable. Number two, sounds scalable. I'm not just meeting one-on-one with a person. I'm meeting one-on-one with a person to have an interview with a reach of a few thousand, right? Whatever size his network is. And that to me is a lot more scalable. And that to me gives me a much better reason to meet up with that person. So I think once you come from this perspective, you do your research, you understand that person, and then you create that rapport first before asking for a meetup. And during the meetup, all that you're doing is not how can you help me, but rather how can I help you and provide that kind of value to that person. You immediately set yourself apart and create the network with the people that you want to have. And that's something that I found to be tremendously helpful in my journey, and I hope it helps you as well. If this is something that resonates with you, let me know in the comments down below, right? Is this something that you've tried? If this is something that you will start trying, do that and let me know how that goes. If you like this video or you know somebody that will like this video, share it with them, and more importantly, subscribe so that you'll be notified of any more videos that I create, and it will help the algorithm tremendously as well. So thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care.